So today we will have other illustration on the loan impairment and also one example problem for the loan receivable recognition. So Urban Bank granted a loan of 3 million to a borrower on January 1, 2020. The terms of the loan were payment in full on December 31, 2025 plus interest payment at 8% every December 31. The first payment of interest would be on December 31, 2020. And on December 31, 2020, due to financial difficulties, the borrower informed the bank that it would probably miss the interest payments for the next 2 years. So meaning there will be no interest payment for 2021 and 2022. After that, the borrower expects to resume the annual interest payment, but the principal will be paid on December 31, 2026 or 1 year late with interest paid for that additional year. So the schedule of payments from the borrower are as follows. So as mentioned earlier, 2 years dili makapay og interest, and then only interest payments from 2023 until 2025, and the principal payment would be made on December 31, 2026. So we have the effective rate of 8% and the present value factors. So if the question is how much would be the present value of the future interest and principal, so since naamay periods nga dili kabayad sa interest, so naatay impairment loss. So what would be the present value? So we have on December 31, 2023, so that would be the first payment pa. So after 2 years, so you have 190,560. Then you have on December 31, 2024, so that's 176,400. So just multiply the present value factors here by the interest payment. Okay, so the interest payment of 240 is based on the principal times the stated rate or the nominal rate. Then in 2025, you have 163,440. And then on December 31, 2026, you have 3,241 times 0.630. So this is the sum of the interest and the principal already. But if you want isa-isa, pwede po ni mo multiply ang 240,000 times 600.63 and 3 million times 0.63. So you will still come up with the same total, 2,041,200. And sum it up, that would be the total present value of the loan. So why is it that 0.794 ang gigamit? Nga 3 periods man na siya, ma'am, because that would be after 3 years pa man. Remember, 2020 atong starting nga year diri, so 1 year after would be 2021. That's the first period. And then 2022 nga December is our second period. And 2023 is our third period. So ikatulo pa nga tuig. So since our period here is in terms of years, so therefore this would be after 3 years. So dili mo gamit og first period ani kay after 3 years pa man ang payment. Okay? So this is now the total present value of the loan. Remember the formula to get the impairment. That would be the difference between the carrying amount of the loan and the present value of the loan. So the carrying amount of the loan is equal to the principal payment only, and there's no accrued interest on December 31, 2020. So wala man gi-mention diri that there will be accrued interest. Then the present value of the loan is 2,571,600, which is given here. And then we have the impairment loss would be the difference, which is 428,400. Okay? So, kani siya, unlike on the previous problem that we had, so naato siya accrued interest, di ba nga, 300,000. Probably because there was no payment made on December 31. But here, since ingon man siya, the first payment is made on December 31, 2020, so nakabayad siya ani nga time. Okay? Unless niingon ani nga wala siya nibayad on December 31, so that would be part of the accrued interest tong wala na bayad nga interest. So our impairment loss here is 428,400. What if ma'am, ang first payment niya instead of 2023 kay pagka 2024 pa. So therefore, kaya wala ni siya. So therefore, ang gamito nato nga period, ini-multiply sa 2024 would be for the 4 periods. Kung nagsugod pa ang payment sa 2021, so dapat na ay first period. Okay, basta ang account nato, pila man ka periods ang nilabay before the payment. And since there would be 3 periods nga mulabay here, 2021, that's year period 1, 2022 period 2, and then December 31, 2023 is our period 3. So that's why mag-start ang atong present value factor sa 3 periods. Then, what would be the journal entries? So, in 2020, we recognize the loan receivable, which was granted to the borrower on January 1, and then credit cash. On December 31, the customer was able to pay for the interest, so debit cash, and credit interest income. And on December 31, since it was known that there would be missed payments of interest and there would be an extended supposed to be 2025 man unta bayaran ng principal pero na-move og another year, so we need to get the impairment loss if any, and we already computed the impairment loss. So debit loan impairment loss and credit allowance for loan impairment, 428,400. On 2021, that's a year after, so we will prepare the entry. So we have December 31, allowance for loan impairment, and then interest income. So this agi kaning 2,571,600. So this is our carrying amount of the loan at the end of the year. Diba? From 3 million minus 428,400, which is our allowance for loan impairment. So ang mabilin nga balance kay 2,571,600, which is the present value of the loan. And this amount will be multiplied by 8% to get the adjustment here sa allowance for loan impairment. So that would be 205,728. Next, you have for 2022, so our allowance for loan impairment is 222,672. So this would be the remaining balance. Okay, so you have 428,400 and 205,728. Okay, so that will be 222,672. If we want to check how much would most likely be the amount, if i-multiply nato siya sa 8%, so pwede sad nga kaning 2,707,328, i-multiply nato by 8%. But the answer for that would be 221,186, which would be lesser than the remaining balance. Kung atoa siyang ang gamito nato is 221,186 magkuwang. Okay? So, dapat unta ang last nga adjustment kay 222,672 para ma-close ning 428,400. So, check na to ha. Kung ang gamito nato nga amount kay kaning 222,186, so that's 428,400 400 minus 222,186. So, ang iyahang amount would be 206,214, which is dili man ni maotong atoan ng nadeduct pag ni Agi. So, magkulang siya. Dapat ang atoang i-deduct or atong i-adjust nga amount is 222,672 para ma-close na gyud ang remaining nga balance. Kani man dapat ang mahabilin. So, dapat kani pod ang dapat i-close. Kung 222,186, so ma-short siya og wala may difference ana niya. 222,672 og 222,186. So, naapay mabilin nga 486. Okay, so napay mabilin nga 486, which is kinahanglan ma-close siya dapat after 2 years because that should be the amortization niya because it is during 2 years, 2021 and 2022 nga wala kabayad og wala kabayad ang borrower. So nag-default siya. From 2023 until 2025, so magbalik-balik siya og record adtong cash and credit interest income for the interest payment. And in 2026, so finally, makolek na ang cash for the principal nga 3 million plus the interest nga 240. So the total cash received is 3,240,000. Credit interest income and credit loan receivable. Next, we have illustration 4. That is for the 3-stage impairment approach. So this is found on page 204 in your book. So we have on January 1, 2020, a bank loaned 2 million to a borrower. The contract specified an effective interest of 10%, a term of 8 years, and interest is payable annually on December 31. On December 31, 2020, based on the most relevant information available, the bank determined that the loan had a 12-month probability of default of 5% and expected to collect only 80% of the principal. And we have the present value of 1 at 10% for 7 periods is 0.51. So at stage 1, wherein there is a low credit risk, so sa may pasabotan ng first nga stage, so this stage covers debt instruments that have not declined significantly in a credit quality since initial recognition or that have a low credit risk. So under this scenario, there is a 12-month expected credit loss that will be recognized. So what are the journal entries for 2020? So first is you recognize the loan receivable and then credit cash. Also, there would be interest that would be 10% of the 2 million principal. Okay, so you have debit cash, 200,000, and then credit interest income, 200,000. So what would be the present value of the cash flow on December 31? Okay, so you have for December 31, 2020, so you have 2 million, which is the original principal. Then the probability of collection is 80% based on the given here. So the expected cash flow is 1,600,000 times the present value factor of 1 at 10% for 7 periods, which is 0.51. So the present value of cash flow at the end of the year is 816,000. So kung basihan nato ang present value niya, 816,000 ang makolek. Then balik ta. So the carrying amount is 2 million. So this is before adjustment. Then the present value of cash flow is 816,000. So ang expected nga credit loss if the present value is 816, ang pwedeng mawa sa tuwa kay 1,184,000. and we multiply it with the probability of default of 5%. So the 12-month expected credit loss would be 59,200. So therefore, debit, impairment loss, and credit allowance for loan impairment. So you just follow the steps on how to arrive with the 12-month expected credit loss. Okay, systematic man siya. And then if you're asked, what will be the carrying amount now of the loan? Adjusted na nga carrying amount. Kung 2 million man siya, sa wala pa ta nag-adjust for loan impairment, so at the end of the year, pila man gyud ang dapat nga carrying amount. So dili ning 2 million kay naaman tay impairment loss. Remember how to get the carrying amount. So that would be the principal minus the allowance for loan impairment. So you will get 1,940,800. If you're asked also on December 31, 2020, how much is our allowance for loan impairment? The answer would be 59,200. Next, on December 31, the bank determined that there was a significant increase in the credit risk of the loan receivable, but no objective evidence of impairment. The bank concluded that there is a 40% probability of default over the remaining life of the loan, and the bank expected to collect only 70% of the principal balance. The present value of 1 at 10% at 6 periods is 0.56. Now we will proceed to stage 2, wherein there's a significant increase in credit risk but no objective evidence of impairment. So at this stage, this covers debt instruments that have declined significantly in credit quality since initial recognition but do not have objective evidence of impairment. So we need to recognize here a lifetime expected credit loss. So there is a rebuttable presumption that there is a significant increase in credit risk if the contractual payments are more than 30 days past due. So what would be the necessary journal entries? So on December 31, we debit cash and then we credit interest income. This is to collect the annual nga interest for the 2 million nga face amount. You multiply it by the 10% interest. Next is we need to compute what would be the allowance for loan impairment. So we go through the process again. We start with the carrying amount niya on December 31, which is, this is at face amount good. That's 2 million. Then probability of collection is 70%. And then the expected cash flow would be 1,400,000 and multiply it by the present value factor for the 6 periods. That's 0.56. And then you will get the present value of cash flow on December 31, 2021, which is 784,000. So there's a change in the estimate. So from the previous 80%, karon kay 70%. Then the new present value of the cash flows for the remaining periods would be 784,000. So the original carrying amount is 2 million without pa sa impairment. So exclusive of the impairment. The present value of cash flow computed here is 784,000. So the expected credit loss is 1,216,000. That's overall. And then, the probability of default, meaning ang probability nga dili mabayaran sa ato ang borrower would be 0.4 or 40%. So that's based on the given here. And the lifetime expected credit loss allowance would now be 486,400. Since we already recognize 59,000 last year, so pila man ang ato ang impairment loss this year, so that's 427,200. So therefore, debit impairment loss and credit allowance for loan impairment. So if you're asked in the problem, how much is the impairment loss in 2021? The answer would be 427,200. If you're asked in the problem, how much is the allowance for loan impairment in 2021? What would be the answer? So, kung allowance ang gipangayo, that would be 486,400. Okay, katong sum sa last year nga 59,200 o this year nga 427,200. If you're asking the problem, how much is the interest income in 2021, the answer would be 200,000. And finally, if you're asked how much is the carrying amount of the loan on December 31, 2021, unsa man gyud atong ibutang nga carrying amount of the loan. So this is the adjusted amount. So that would be 1,513,600. Dili itong 2 million. Because we need to consider the impairment loss. So katong na-recognize na nato for 2 years is 486,400. Now let's proceed with the next condition here. On December 31, 2022, the borrower was in financial difficulty and the loan was considered impaired. The bank concluded that only 50% of the principal balance will be collected on December 31, 2027. Interest for 2022 was collected. So the present value of 1 at 10% at 5 periods is 0.62. Okay? So what would be the necessary computations here for 2022? So here we are now on the stage 3. There's objective evidence of impairment because here it is stated that there's already financial difficulty. So at this stage, this will cover the debt instruments that have objective evidence of impairment at the reporting date. Under this scenario, we're going to recognize lifetime expected credit losses. So the entry, again, we will record the interest income, so debit cash. Because according here, na-collect man daw ang interest and credit interest income. So to get the present value of the cash flow on December 31, so we'll start again with the face amount, original principal of 2 million. And since there's only 50% probability that it will be collected, so that's 50% ang i-multiply. Then we multiply the present value factors for the remaining 5 periods. So that's 0.62. So the total present value of cash flow would be 620,000. Then our impairment loss would be computed as follows. You have the carrying amount. Again, this is equivalent to the face amount, original face amount. Then present value of the cash flows because nganong 2 million man siya permi ma'am because wala man tay payment of principal in the past 2 years. So 2021 walay principal payment, 2022 wala po siya principal nga payment. Kung napay principal payment makuhaan ni siya. Pero since same lang gihapon, so man nga sige lang gihapon 2 million because the 2 million will be ultimately collected later on. Then you have, okay, so therefore the impairment loss would be 893,600. So debit impairment loss 893,600 and credit allowance for loan impairment you have 893,600. And then we also have this uncollectible loan. Okay? Debit allowance for loan impairment and credit loan receivable. So nga naman nga write off man ang uncollectible nga loan kay here it concluded that 50% of the principal will be collected on December 31, 2027. So 50% lang ang mo collect. So since 2 million man ang ato ang total nga principal, Kunya 50% lang daw ang makollect in ka 2027. So therefore, ang ato arang mabilin kay 1 million ang katunga sa 2 million. So i-write off nimo tong other 1 million or ang other half of 2 million. That's why naatay write off diri. Okay? So if you're asked in 2022, kung ang question is, how much is the interest income? So the answer would be 200,000. If you're asked, how much is the impairment loss for the year? The answer would be 893,600. If you're asked, what is the balance of the allowance for loan impairment? Pila man ang mahimong balance? So originally, na tayong mga na-recognize in the previous period, 'di ba? Pila man tong na-recognize nato? 486,400, 'di ba? 486,400. And then naamantay gi-credit diri nga 893,600. So pila naman to siya? 486 400 plus 893 600. So, 1,380,000. Mao na siya tong allowance for loan impairment. Pero, naman tay another entry nga nagdebit tag allowance for loan impairment for the uncollectible, itong write off nga uncollectible nga loan. So, kuhaan na tong 1 million. So, ang mahimong balance nato for the allowance for loan impairment would be 380. So, mao na yung mahimong remaining balance for the allowance for loan impairment. So, the loan receivable now would be 1 million. And then the allowance for loan impairment would be 380,000. So, the carrying amount, updated ni siya 2022. Okay. So the carrying amount for 2022, this is already adjusted with the 50% nga gi-write off, 50% of 2 million nga gi-write off, and also katong correct nga allowance for loan impairments, di ba? I have mentioned previously nga di allowance for loan impairment will now be 380,000. So from 1,380,000, since na ay write off nga worth 1 million, so ang mabilin kay 380,000. So ang key lang gyud ana is subayon gyud ninyo ang journal entries and you will know the correct balance. If you like this video, don't forget to click like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be updated with the latest video lessons. Thank you for watching.